Hiya, my name is Eve. I'm an art therapist at Arts for Health. We're doing a drawing video today. We're doing an art therapy process. We're going to be using the infinity symbol today. So that's this symbol here. Some people call it a figure of 8. It's also called a lemniscate. This is going to be the basis of our drawing today. Okay, so for this process you're going to need some paper. You're going to need maybe some pastels or crayons, whatever you would like. You could actually use a pen or a marker, but something that flows really smoothly across the page is what I would recommend. So the basic idea of our process today is that we're going to be using the infinity symbol and we're going to be building our whole image basically out of this shape, okay? So whether it's bigger or smaller, whether it's stretched a little bit, this is going to be the basis for it. So first we're going to explore how to do this, okay? Then we're going to turn it into some sort of image, and then I'll do one, you can see that, and then I'll do a reflection at the end. So the idea of this shape is that it takes us out, there's lots of movement, and then it comes back in to the center, and we go again. We're always going out and then coming back to our center. So this is a really cool way, as we repeat doing this, to find a bit of soothing and regulation, because we allow movement and then we come back to the center point. It requires us to loosen our arm and breathe and let our arm just move with a bit of relaxation because of the nature of the shape. So it sort of entices us towards relaxation. So it teaches our body and our emotions how to go out and then find what's my center. So that could be what's true for you, what makes you feel grounded. It could be in your body, where is my center line, like physically. It's a really cool way of soothing ourselves and regulating ourselves. The other idea is that as we move, and especially when we're drawing on paper, there's friction, and that creates sound, and that repetition, that sound and repeated movement is actually quite calming for our body too. It's such a smooth shape, it's not jagged, so that's often a soothing element for people too. Really good for children, a nice shape to repeat for soothing. Of course it's good for adults too. So this process will be really cool for anyone that's feeling like they're needing a little bit of soothing and regulating their body or regulating their emotions. It's important to remember that anytime you're doing an art therapy process or any kind of process, if you start to feel like this is not very fun anymore, I'm not feeling very good, if something comes up for you, then straight away it's important that you take time for yourself, do whatever you need to do, and it's really useful to contact someone that you trust. So just before we get into it, this process that I've got today is based on information and activities gained from Mark Geard. So I just want to reference back to Mark. Mark Geard is where I've learned these ideas and some of these processes. Okay, so we're going to start with movement, actually using our body just really gently, and then I'm going to take us through a couple of different ways that we develop this shape into a few different steps, and then we're going to use those processes, those steps, to make our final image. Okay, so the first step is movement. So it's always a good idea to take a little breath, give yourself a little bit of a moment. One way you can do it is actually walking around the room, making the figure of 8 shape, okay? So you could actually literally walk around if you have space to walk in this shape, and then the next step is getting your arm. It's quite cool if you're holding your pastel or your pen, your drawing tool, and you're going to make the figure of 8 shape with your arm. So make sure that you're trying to go as loose as you can. You might do it with your arm pointing down to the ground. You might do it really fast with both arms. Okay, any of these variations, just to give your body the chance to feel nice and relaxed going out, and then finding the center, going out, and finding the center again. Okay, so I'm going to give that a little chance. I'm going to step round and then turn the camera so it looks down from above, and then you can see my drawing processes as well. Okay, so we have done our basic shapes. So we've done the horizontal lemniscate, the vertical lemniscate. We've done the combo of both together. Then we've travelled down the page doing the lemniscate, the figure of eight shape, and then we've blended it together. So the idea of this one is that the edge of each curve actually overlaps the previous one. So that's a cool little challenge if you haven't done that one before. We've put the lot together, so we've done the horizontal, the vertical, and then we've escaped out of that out to a circle outside. So often what happens with this one is that you feel quite comfortable, you've started to get comfortable with whichever direction you're going. Then when you change direction, that can be a little step of faith. And then coming out to make the circle around the outside takes another little step where you think, goodness, how am I going to get my arm to do this? But it's quite fun when you do get out there. And then you'll notice as you repeat that and keep going over it, the repetition is soothing and you gain that confidence and balance back. So that was a good one, we've done that. Another challenge, another step to go, starting off in the middle and then travelling out and then travelling out again and then coming back across. So this is just an extension. You could do many different variations of these ones, but this is just one that I showed you. And then I started just to think about how that looked a little bit like an angel to me. Okay, so that's where we got to so far. So the next step is picking a big version of one of these. So picking one of the basic shapes, and I'm just going to do a big version of it and start that over the page to give me a basis, and then I'm going to try and make an image using this figurine, this figure of eight, and repeating it and starting to make some sort of image. Okay, so remember with art therapy, we're not planning every step that we're going to do. We kind of go with what feels right to us. So that's my next step. Okay, so we are up to the reflection stage. So I'll show you. This is the image that appeared at the end of my process. So I started with the bigger lemniscate as my basis, and then I think I built up something on the side. So that's turned into a cliff and a bit of a waterfall coming down. We've got a landscape and then a kind of windswept tree over the side. I knew that I wanted something warm in there, so the sun came out. And then this was interesting because I'd already noticed how that shape looked a little bit like an angel to me. So I had an angel there, and then towards the end it did seem to look a little bit more like a hurricane or some sort of center of wind. Maybe it's an angel and a hurricane at the same time. So one of the first things that I noticed is that it's a very busy, full, high energy image. So that's the nature of having lots of lines going everywhere, that there's lots going on. But I did also add quite a few different elements to the image. So the thing that I noticed was that it's a full image, but as I kept going and added more and more lines, they actually blended because it's pastel, and that became a little bit more cohesive. So as I went, I became more and more relaxed. I kept breathing, my arm kept moving, we're doing this soothing movement, and everything came together a little bit more. So that was one of the first things that I noticed while I was doing it. And as I look now, there's a bit more cohesion, though I do recognize straight away there's just lines in every direction. So that's something that stands out to me. High energy plus the relaxation of the actual process. Another thing that stands out to me is that it's full, that page is full, but that it's actually balanced as well. And that's the thing that we were talking about with this shape. So we've got the basic lemniscate in the middle, and then quite a kind of strong image here, a strong shape here, and then there are two things happening in the middle as well. So that just shows me that there's a little bit of balance. Another thing that stood out as I was doing it, and as I was thinking about how things were changing as I moved my hand, was that it's sort of like a landscape showing the passage of time or change. So we had just a hill to begin with, and then a cliff kind of raised up, like the continents shifted and a cliff moved in. Then a river started to come, a river, and it turned into a waterfall actually. I think there was a tree that grew next, and then the roots came out, and then finally we had an angel and a little human that popped on the scene right towards the end. So that's kind of like the way a landscape would change and grow. So this idea of the passage of time is quite comforting to me actually, because it's like as a little human doing all our little lines and all our frantic movements in our world, we're actually still also part of the whole changing wider natural world as things grow and change and the seasons come, and we're sort of like a small little part of this growing wider world where time just carries on. And that for me is quite comforting. The other thing that's kind of part of this landscape passage of time idea is that there's just so many areas of the image that are kind of life-giving, symbols of life. So the sun is a symbol that gives us life. Water gives us life. Okay, coming down here, trees give us life. I'm not sure about this angel hurricane, if that would give us life. And then there's just a little human there, which I guess represents life in itself too. And just the thing about this little human, I guess the thing that I noticed was that he or she, they're peeking and kind of their eye line, it's like they're directing some of their attention towards this angel here or towards this hurricane. So maybe they're saying, please hurricane, don't come and destroy my land. Or maybe they're saying, please hurricane, do come, we need more water. Maybe it's offering up a prayer to the angel. There's something happening between these two. It's interesting because maybe this human has a little arm coming out. Maybe they're gesturing something. I thought they might be maybe reaching up and holding something on their head. So there's a little bit of a story there. Maybe this is their farm. Maybe this is where their tribe lives. Maybe this is where they're trying to get things to grow. So that's an interesting story, and what I would do is write more about that. So I'd encourage someone, if this was their image, take a moment for those kind of mysterious things that you're not too sure about. Take a moment to write a little bit more about it, and you can get some really cool insight as you do that. So give it a go, listen to your body and listen to what your emotions are saying. Keep going till you feel like there's a story coming through, or of course you could stop without a story. There's nothing wrong with that either. So I hope you give it a go and have some fun. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our process today. I hope it's given you some ideas about movement and art therapy and drawing, how we use those together in our art therapy processes. I hope it's given you some inspiration to do some trials of your own. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.